He got medically cleared, so he was good to go. But he really hadn't had a lot of contact yet. A little bit of bumping around in practice. So, our thought was the last thing we want to do is get him re-injured. We thought we'd see how he started and try to get him maybe through halfway through the game as a good first step. So, he started fine. He got halfway through the game, actually a little bit further than halfway, and then I hadn't told him, and then we sat him down and thought we'll go with 11 forwards the rest of the way. I told him between periods that wasn't how he played, but this was the plan. But I didn't want to tell him ahead of time what the plan was because, now he's going to be thinking about it. So just let him play, hold him back, and get him back out there, practice today, and have a couple good days. He'll be, ready to play the whole game the next one.
Have you experienced that type of situation before, either as a coach or as a player?
You know what? Probably not. I'd have to think back. Not as a player, for sure. I'd have to think back on my coaching days. I do some stupid stuff sometimes, so I may have done that before, among other things. But I just thought it was appropriate with this one because we really were, medically cleared but hadn't had a lot of contact. The last thing I wanted to do was get that thing re-injured.
Is there staff communication also there in that type of a
Oh,
situation?
yeah. It's coaching staff. I hadn't talked to Blakey about it yet, but it was coaching staff. Blakey and I had talked about it after the fact.
So what do you think about some like Celebrini and Smith in San Jose or Carlson in Anaheim sitting out games when they're perfectly healthy and managing like pitch count?
Oh, I mean, I don't know. I really can't comment on that. I don't know those players that well, the situations. I'm sure they're managing it as best they can for their organization. Yeah, I really can't comment.
If you had a 17 or 18-year-old player like that, would you consider it though?
Oh yeah, I think you have to consider everything. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. There's different circumstances all the time. Tough league for sure.
Jim, I heard your post-game comments after the last game about allowing some chances against, but the two things you pinpointed showed up in the game: the breakouts and the offensive zone possession time. It's got to be rewarding to see practice to game.
It was, yeah, and we talked about the reason we hadn't been able to, or we thought that degrade is a lack of practice time. So we really hit it hard in the practice before. So yeah, it's nice to see it translate. It doesn't always work like that. It did in that case, and then today we hit it again. We plan on hitting those two areas, all week.
As good of a possession game down low as the team has had this year?
I would have to think back. But nothing off the top of my head. I thought we were good. I thought we had good releases into the middle. Our F3, we found them, kept the plays alive. We were close with three. We weren't spread out. So, yeah, there was a lot of positive signs.
If you look at the way this week sets up, I think you guys have 3 practices in a row. Have you kind of sculpted out what the entire week's going to look like, or are you just taking it day by day?
Yeah, we just these 2 days, today and tomorrow, we planned out. And then we'll take it from there because the game will always dictate something. But yeah, we know what we want to hit, and again, we've talked about it, breakouts and ozone play, pretty specific. Among everything else, you have to touch on.
Taking it away from the rink a little bit, the guys were off yesterday, but they weren't off. They were all out in the community doing something important. Just how important is it for you guys to be able to do those things and get out there with the kids in the community?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better because. You get in your own bubble and we're traveling and we're busy, and then you get outside and then you really get a chance to touch the fans, especially young ones, and you get to see how much they really appreciate, that you're a Los Angeles King and what you do for a living. So I think it brings everything back into perspective, and yeah, it's good. It's good for the community for sure, but it's also really good for the players.